Hi, I'm Kishan, and welcome to Kishan's Classes. So I finally decided to do a channel introduction video after like 8-9 months. So here we are, better late than never. So the purpose of this video is I want to tell you basically why am I making this channel? Why did I create this channel? And what sets me apart from the other people that do what I do? So if you're new here, I make YouTube videos on various STEM subjects like biochemistry, physiology, organic chemistry, drugs, and a bunch of other stuff. But what sets me apart from the other YouTube channels you might see, like Organic Chemistry Tutor, Khan Academy, AK Lectures, and a bunch of other ones? So first off, I have a lot of respect for what they do. I think they're amazing. I've used their videos to actually learn from them. But what sets me apart from them? Let me ask you a question. Has there ever been a time where you've been to a lecture and the professor, he or she, is speaking about whatever topic, and you're thinking to yourself, when am I ever going to be using this in real life? How does this relate to real life? That's where I come in. If you ever watched any of my videos, I try to make every single video about real life concepts. I like to relate what we're trying to go over to when you'll actually use it in real life. Let me give you an example. I made a few videos about amino acids. I went over all the amino acids. In that video, I mentioned that, for example, cysteine is in your hair. That judges basically how much cysteine you have, happens to do with how curly your hair is. Something like that. I'll give you another one. Let's say serotonin. Serotonin is known as the mood hormone, neurotransmitter. Did you know that you can actually get depressed if you don't have enough protein in your body? Serotonin comes from the amino acid tryptophan. If you actually don't get enough tryptophan in your diet, you'll actually get depressed. It's actually proven. Researchers have actually done this experiment and realized that if you don't have enough serotonin, not enough tryptophan rather, you'll have low serotonin and you'll actually get depressed. Isn't that pretty cool? Not pretty cool, but This is what I'm talking about. When you go see Organic Chemistry Tutor, Khan Academy, or AK Lectures, or these other YouTubers, what do they do? What they probably do is they teach you the bare minimum information for you to do the practice problems they give you. And then what usually happens, at least for me, is that I end up going to the exam and think to myself, wow, these exam questions are much harder than anything I did on YouTube. They did not prepare me whatsoever. I kind of got the general idea, but not the actual hard stuff that the professors give. That's where I come in as well. I like to give the easy problems. First, what I do is I like to teach the material. Then I like to give you some easy practice problems. And then I give you challenge problems, something you would see on an exam, so you'll be ready for it. And then after that, I usually relate it to real life somehow. That's what I like to do. Now, going to the thing about why I started this channel. I'm going to tell you a story. It's going to be a long story, but it's going to be entertaining, I promise. It'll be a good story. So, in 2018, I started going to community college. I started in the biology field. That's where I did my major in. The first semester of community college, I took anatomy because I want to become a doctor. That's my overall goal, is I want to become an anesthesiologist or even a neurosurgeon. I haven't decided yet. But that's the path I wanted to go. So I took anatomy to start off with. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, there's no reason for me to lie. It's not beneficial for anybody. But I did not do well. I started off really terribly in that class. I was getting C's and D's on exams. And imagine what it made me feel, right? I want to become a doctor, and I'm getting C's and D's on, anatomy of all things. That's terrible. Awful. So during the semester, after one of the exams, I got my grade back, and it was terrible. I went home and I actually cried a little bit because I'm like, this is my future. And if I'm not good at this basic thing, I'm probably going to not do well in medical school. I probably won't even get into medical school. So I went home and I really thought about it. And I remembered something. The exams that I was taking was based on the PowerPoints that we had in class. The teacher would go over it. So all I had to do is memorize the PowerPoints. And then I'll be really good for the exam. So here's what I did. I went to a Starbucks after one of the classes. and I hand wrote that PowerPoints word for word. The slides were like 80 slides long. The PowerPoints were 80 slides long. I went to a Starbucks, sat there for 2 to 3 hours and hand wrote everything on those PowerPoints. The graphs, the tables, I was not really good at drawing, so what I did is basically summarized what the tables and graphs were doing. But the lecture slides, everything word for word in my notebook. Then I went to go and take the exam the following week, and I got a B. I was, happy, but I was not completely happy because it was not an A. I wanted an A. But at least there was some improvement, so that means that technique that I was using was working. I just needed to alter it a little bit. So here's what I did. Pretend if you were to have a lecture on a Tuesday on the digestive system, for example. On Monday, I will go to the Starbucks and handwrite the entire PowerPoint for digestive system because the professor would post the slides early. So I would handwrite everything ahead of time. Then all I had to do is when I got to lecture is close my notebook and just listen to what the professor had to say. Because I already hand wrote everything the day before, so there's nothing for me to write. There's nothing new, there's no new information that she's gonna add from the PowerPoint. So all I had to do was just close my notebook and listen and try to connect what I wrote down the previous day to what I'm listening now. Because think about it. Your body's actually not that good at multitasking. I know some people are like, oh, I'm fantastic at multitasking. Well, most people are not, right? It's very hard for the brain to listen to something, listen word for everything and not miss anything while writing something down. So what I decided to do is combat one of those things. Let's take care of the whole writing situation the day before so I can only focus on one thing, listening. And that's what I did. And this worked out really, really well. The next exam I got an A. And I felt great. I was like, this is what I need to do to get A's on all my classes. And I finished the class, unfortunately, with an 89.8%. Because I think I couldn't recover from the earlier stuff. Doesn't matter. What matters is what came after that. I decided to challenge myself and take physiology, human physiology, over the summer. If you don't know, human physiology is a very content-heavy course. Some find it difficult. I decided to take it over the summer. So it's triple the pace. Every single day, Monday to Friday, we were doing PowerPoints. 100 slides each day. Sometimes even more than that. Sometimes we do 2 PowerPoints. So I did the same thing. The day before, go to Starbucks, handwrite everything. And I would take the exams and do really well. So much that when the end of the semester came, the end of the summer, I got the highest grade ever recorded in physiology at that community college. I got a 98.7% if I remember correctly. Highest ever recorded. So much that professor actually recommended me for a scholarship. So I got the Fred Covelli Biology Scholarship. I also got the Health Scholarship as well that we're offering. So, right, something, it just clicked, right? This study strategy was clicking. So I used this technique for every single class afterwards in community college. And I was on fire. I was getting A's everywhere. Every exam felt so easy to me. And this is the study strategy that I found. Now, here's the thing, is that this handwriting mechanism, study strategy I was using, was helping me remember stuff, even from semesters ago. I decided that I wanted to apply at the tutoring center at the college, at the community college. Because I wanted to work, but also I would love teaching people, because I do enjoy teaching. So I got an interview. I was going to interview to teach physiology, anatomy, and some chemistry. During the interview, I really surprised. It was 3 people in the interview that were interviewing me. So, and they were asking me random questions about anatomy and physiology and neuroscience. That's the other thing. Psychology and neuroscience. That's what I would teach as well. And during the interview, I ended up teaching them about physiology. I was teaching about hunger hormones. I was also teaching them about how to combat or /kill infections without antibiotics. And this is where I'll tell you, basically a fun fact about physiology and chemistry. There's a way that you can actually kill bacteria without antibiotics, but it's very specific. It's only for sinus infections. So if you've ever been to a grocery store or pharmacy, you might see one of those sinus relief bottles, right? It's a sinus rinse bottle or a neti pot. What you're supposed to do is you put water, not regular water, you put filtered water or distilled water into the bottle. Then you put salt in it. And what you're supposed to do is you shove it up your nose. Very uncomfortable. I've done it many, many times. But what this does is kills the bacteria. Really well, actually. Let me explain. Bacteria has water in it. It's actually made up mostly of water. When you're putting something that is hypertonic in your nose, hypertonic meaning a very high concentration of salt, osmosis occurs and kills the bacteria instantly when it gets in contact with the salt. This is how you can actually kill bacteria, sinus infections rather, without antibiotics. This is a way you can do it, using chemistry and osmosis and properties of physics. This is what I taught them during the interview, and they were so amazed that they hired me on the spot. They didn't even finish the interview, they actually hired me immediately. Because they're like, wow, this guy's really knowledgeable and knows how to relate stuff to real life. Right? Think about it. You probably learned about osmosis and thought about to yourself, when am I ever going to use this? Right? You probably heard of reverse osmosis, but that's probably the only thing you're thinking of. This is one of the ways. So next time you have a sinus infection, think about this. Now, if you're not to put the salt packet in the water, it would do nothing. Right? The salt is the main part of the whole sinus rinse part. Anyways, I take a bunch of classes and I graduate community college with a very high GPA. So I applied to all the UCs. If you're not from California, the UCs are the main University of California universities. That's UCLA, UCSD, UC Irvine, Santa Barbara, all of these. So I applied to all of them. I get into all of them except University of California, Irvine. So screw them. They missed out. So it was between UCLA and UCSD. If you're from America, you would probably know that UCLA is actually very prestigious. It's one of the top universities out there. But I did not choose University of California, Los Angeles. I chose UCSD, San Diego. That's where I am right now. So, I chose UCSD. And people always ask me, why did you do that? That was a big mistake. I disagree. I think it was the best decision I could have ever made. Now, let me explain. There was stuff at UCSD that I would never learn if I went to UCLA. I would have never learned. The STEM department at UCSD is incredible. There are so many geniuses that actually work here. In fact, one of my professors right now actually developed a potential cure for autism in 2018. It worked on mice, and it was proved to be beneficial. And actually, he got bunch of pharmaceutical companies actually reached out to him, hoping to use what he developed. Right? Imagine that. Can anyone actually say that they met the person that actually could come up with a cure for autism? Right? That's like something that I would, if I went to UCLA, I would never be able to say that. In fact, the person, one of the professors that are at UCSD, or was, I think he passed away, unfortunately. No, he didn't pass away. I think he moved. He found the way we're able to actually taste stuff. There's certain taste receptors in our tongue that, correspond to like salty, bitter, all this kind of stuff, and it maps out onto the brain. He was the one that found that out. He was a professor at UCSD. Like, who can say that they actually met this kind of, these people, right? Pure geniuses. Also, the research at UCSD is top in the nation. I think it's number 4 right now in the nation, and like 14 in the entire world. Like, that's incredible. The amount of research that happens here at UCSD is, like so much. So I decided to go to UCSD because I thought I had the highest chance in getting into a research lab, and that would help me get into medical school. And I was right. I actually did get into a research lab my first year there. And it was amazing. Now the professors, one of the first classes I taken was organic chemistry, right? I had to finish the organic chemistry series. I started in community college, but I didn't finish it, so I had to finish it here. One of the professors liked to relate organic chemistry to real life. And so I'm going to give you another fun fact. If you're going to take organic chemistry, or you've already taken organic chemistry, you probably heard of the functional group esters. Do you know where you find esters? I'll give you one example. If you look on your t-shirt, or whatever you're wearing, you might see the label and it says polyester on it. That's where the name comes from. Your polyester t-shirt is from the ester functional group. Poly means many and ester means the functional group. So your t-shirt is actually made up of many ester groups. That's what polyester is. Isn't that incredible? Like, it's something you wouldn't really think about, right? Oh, about this. The process to make soap is actually called saponification. There is a legitimate organic chemistry process to make soap, right? It's these kind of things, right, that are really interesting to me. Now, I feel like when I relate stuff to real life, it makes it so much easier to remember, right, what you're learning. I walk around UCSD all the time, migrating, going from class to class. I actually run into people that tell me your videos are super helpful because they help me remember. You're relating stuff to real life. In fact, I actually got a comment on one of my amino acid videos just recently. I think it was last week. Some very nice lady said she enjoyed how I'm relating stuff to real life because it helps them remember. It's a proven fact. If you actually see how things connect what you're learning to real life scenarios, it's easier to remember. Then I took biochemistry, metabolic biochemistry, and by far, the professor I took it with was the best professor I've ever had in my entire life. No one will ever compete to this guy. His name is Goran. He tells the students to call him Goran because he doesn't like the doctor, professor, all that kind of stuff, right? So Goran. Every single lecture, he would have about a 10 to 15 minute conversation on how biochemistry relates to real life. And that is what really attracted me to the class. A lot of people find biochemistry to be a little boring. But what he did is find ways to make what we're going to learn in that lecture relate to real life. And it got people's attention. I actually wanted to go to class. This is the one class I basically said I wish it never ended. I would want to be in that class for 2 to 3 years from how much I learned in that class. And he inspired me to make this YouTube channel. Let me tell you about a fun fact about biochemistry and how it, something about real life. You probably heard about the keto diet. Keto diet, very famous for losing weight. But do you know how it works? Have you ever seen those commercials or people say, oh, I lost 10 to 15 pounds in the first week. It's amazing. This keto diet is the best thing ever. Do you know what you're actually losing? You're not losing body fat. That first week. You're not losing body fat. I can promise you that. Let me explain through biochemistry. The process of glycolysis is taking glucose and making it into pyruvate. If we have too much glucose in your body, so for example, if you're not burning enough calories, the glucose that you take in from your food will be stored into something called glycogen, which is when glycogen is stored in the liver or in the muscles. So you're not always going through glycolysis. We don't always need energy. We don't want excess energy. So what we'll do is we'll store glucose in the form of glycogen in the liver. Now, carbohydrates, right, which is glycogen, right, is stored in the liver in excess amounts. Water likes to stay with glycogen. They're best buddies, okay? They're best buddies. So when you go on the keto diet, what's happening is your body needs energy to survive. So what it's going to do, it's going to start burning the glycogen. Okay? It starts burning the glycogen for a source of energy because we're not getting any glucose in. So we're going to take those extra storage of glycogen and burn that. Now, if you stop eating carbs, right, so no more glucose, right, you're limiting the amount of glucose you're getting in. So that means we must take the glycogen storage and make that into energy. Now, we're using that to, for energy. So now, glycogen and water stay together. If the glycogen goes away because it needs to be used for fuel, what happens to the water? Because for every molecule of glycogen, there's about 3 to 4 grams of water or whatever. So if glycogen goes away, it's used for energy, so it's gone. What happens to the water? That is what you're losing. When you sweat or exhale or urinate, you're urinating on the water. That's from the liver. That was being stored in the liver. That is what you're losing in the first week of keto, is water weight. So you're not actually losing fat. If you were to lose 10 pounds of fat in the first week, that would be really bad. Because remember, in biochemistry, it's all about reactions and maintaining homeostasis, or trying to get to homeostasis. We're never actually at homeostasis. That's kind of like a false myth that people have said over the years. We're never actually at homeostasis. What we're trying to do is achieve it by balancing these equations and whatnot. That's the goal. But it's so difficult to actually maintain it. If you were to burn 10 pounds of fat, right? Remember, fat keeps you warm. Right? It protects the organs. It keeps us warm. If you were to burn 10 pounds of it, your homeostasis would be off the charts. It would be so difficult for your body to maintain it. All the reactions will be running haywire. It would not be a good thing. So that's why, you're going to be careful when you're doing this kind of stuff. This is why when people have to train for marathons, right? When they do, you can't just go out and do a marathon. Right? You have not trained your body, right, to do so. Right? It's dangerous. It's actually dangerous for your metabolism to go out right now and go run a marathon if you've not been training for it. Because your body's not used to balancing those reactions correctly. So actually, if you were to burn a lot of calories like really fast in a short amount of time, you can actually gain weight, funny enough. Right? So that's why you have to be careful. That's why biochemistry is actually really important to know. So this is what I'm trying to do right here, right? Is trying to incorporate real life concepts into the videos that I make. And I think it's really beneficial. So what's the future for this channel? Well, first I want to go to medical school. That's my overall plan. And I want to make a lot of videos on various subjects. I want to cover subjects that people don't even cover on YouTube. And the plan, I want to cover genetics, endocrinology, of course, all the organic chemistry series, the entire general chemistry series, stress and mental disorders. What else can I do? Neurobiology stuff. I can do almost all the STEM subjects. One thing I may not do or may do is physics. Physics, I personally don't find any enjoyment in it. And that's one thing I feel like, okay, this is kind of stupid. Okay, like how they tested on the MCAT for medical school. Like, I was reading one of the Kaplan books, and they were even saying the first introduction for one of the chapters that you may be wondering, when do you ever have to use this thing in physics? And I'm like thinking, when? And they're coming up with some like dumb way of how it relates to medicine. I'm like, yeah, okay. Trust me, people are not doing this in medical school. And yeah, I don't really find physics enjoyable, but I don't mind doing it, right? But is it enjoyable? I'll find ways to make it enjoyable, but it'll probably want to be one of the last things I would teach is physics. But yeah, this was, oh yes, thank you so much for 368 subscribers. We're getting there. I mean, it's slow increase, but we're getting up there. And I'm very happy. Thank you so much. So yes, the plan for the channel is when I do end up starting making money, hopefully, whenever that comes, I want to donate it to you guys. I want to create some scholarships. So the more people that start commenting on my videos will help me boost it, boost up the videos. More people that like it, more people that subscribe, my videos get recommended to more people. We can start making money on this channel. Then I will post how much I make for every video, by the way. That's what I want to do. I want to be honest with you guys, right? Because you are technically my employer, right? I make the content, you guys watch me, you're making sure that I'm doing a good job. And I see that by subscribing, liking, commenting, all this kind of stuff. That's how I know I'm doing a good job, right? So think about, like, this is a job for me, even though it's not like a full-time job, but it's basically a job. You're hiring me to do the work. And so I want to, pay back, give back. to this job. And what I do is I want to give you guys the money, right? I need to make some living myself, but I want to give all most of it to you guys. So I want to create some scholarships, maybe help you guys pay through college, university, help you buy books, even if it's like $50, $100, right? I'm willing to do it. And yeah, that's basically it. And I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. I really enjoy doing this. It's actually really fun. Oh, that almost reminds me. If you didn't believe me that I was handwriting all the lectures for physiology, this is my notebook from physiology. Let's see if we can do this right. Turn to a random page. Okay, see, I hand wrote everything. I don't know what this page is showing, but right, just like this is awkward. See, I just hand wrote everything. Proof. Long work goes hard work goes a long way. So yeah, that's basically the plan. It's pretty chill.